Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Would you have ever imagined that one of the most challenging scenes to film in the Barbie movie would involve a character that almost no one knows about?
What?
The Barbie movie is undoubtedly a huge success, but what few people realize is that some of the quickest scenes in the film were the most laborious to create. For instance, the scene where Ken and Barbie are in the sea was by far considered the most difficult to pull off, and it only lasted a few seconds on screen. Not to mention the fight scenes, chases, and even moments of reflection, each one with its own set of challenges, as we'll tell you about right now. If you want to know all about the 11 toughest scenes to shoot in the Barbie movie, well, it's simple. Stick around with us. The first tier. Indeed, the Barbie movie is intended to entertain the audience, but that doesn't mean it lacks important lessons. One of the most difficult and profound scenes in the film shows Barbie coming to the realization that imperfection is a natural part of life. It's in this moment that she sheds her first tear in history, describing the feeling as both bad and at the same time, good. The scene and the dialogue were complex and challenging because they illustrate how, even though crying can be prompted by pain and suffering, the person who cries usually feels better afterward. Director Greta, who also co-wrote the screenplay with her partner, Noah Baumbach, faced difficulties but managed to infuse humanity into a symbol of perfection like Barbie. Chasing Barbie. Despite being a comedy, anyone who watched the Barbie movie, or even just the trailers, noticed that there are some chase scenes in the production. Of course, all these scenes involve a lot of pink, as they are always trying to catch the world's most famous doll, and we can't reveal the reasons to avoid spoilers, of course. But the fact is, these scenes were very challenging to film, because moments in movies that involve races and chases need to be shot and reshot multiple times. For example, the moment when they try to hold Barbie back as she tries to escape from the offices required specialized professionals for falls, and scenic foams were used to cushion the people who jumped as Barbie fled. Pink Punch. Another scene that was quite challenging to film is when Barbie and Ken are in the real world, skating around in their flashy outfits. That was one of the first scenes shot before the cast moved to the Warner Studios in London for the other scenes. It was filmed on a California beach, and many of the people seen passing by were actually regular pedestrians, not actors or extras. Due to this, the ambient noise and lighting were affected. However, at one point, an overly audacious guy touches Barbie without her permission, and she reacts instantly with a well-aimed punch right in his face. In one of the takes, she accidentally lightly hit the actor's face. See it in slow motion. Even though Margot Robbie has done fight scenes and physical contact in other movies like Suicide Squad, she had to be extremely careful not to actually hurt the stunt double in this particular scene, especially since they were working closely together as she fought alongside Ken. After all, just a few inches off, and she could have seriously injured the actor who played the audacious guy. Floating. Barbie Land is a perfect place where only perfect people live, right? And among all the perfect residents, without a doubt, the most perfect one is, and always has been, Barbie. So, when she stepped out of her house to drive her car, she didn't even need to walk down the stairs. She simply had to float to her convertible. The funny thing is, this scene was one of the most challenging to shoot, as it required a lot of training and synchronization. Margot Robbie had to balance perfectly because she needed to descend while floating in an upright position, standing vertically, which is quite difficult. This is because cables are more commonly used for scenes where the character should be in a horizontal, lying position, like in Ken's rocket scene, which was much easier to film. Furthermore, the wind was projected from below to simulate the Marilyn Monroe effect on Barbie's dress. In other words, Margot had to do two things simultaneously: balance herself and hold the dress in place. As a result, the scene had to be filmed again and again until it came out perfectly, just the way we saw it on the cinema screen and in the YouTube trailer.
Oh my god, this is so awesome.
Slide scene. When Margot Robbie accepted the role to play Barbie, she had one specific request. She wanted to slide down the Barbie house slide, as it had been one of her biggest dreams since childhood, as she explains the reason. To make this happen, the team had to build and paint a slide with dimensions that would allow her to slide neither too fast nor too slow. And also, it needed to be the right height so that when she touched her feet on the ground, she could gracefully walk away in true Barbie style. Into the real world. In another video, we discussed how Barbie's director, Greta Gerwig, decided not to use chroma key, the famous green screen technique used for computer effects. With this decision, Greta made the Warner production team, the studio responsible for the film, construct sets and hand paint backgrounds of landscapes. Even the scenes where Ken and Barbie leave Barbie Land and travel through various places were all entirely handcrafted. In other words, it was a lot of work to create the entire set that occupied 3 floors of the Warner Studios in London. And they still needed people to turn cranks and hold animals, just like in the old days.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. perfect. Everything.
Comedy scenes. You might be wondering, how can the most challenging scenes in a comedy movie be comedy scenes? But that's precisely the problem. For instance, Margot Robbie once said that Ryan Gosling, who plays Ken, is the best comedy actor she has ever worked with.
Can I need a clicky pen?
No.
A sharp thing?
No.
There he is. Doctor!
Somebody get security.
And because of that, there were several scenes they did together where she couldn't hold back her laughter and ended up ruining the take. They needed to do retakes to get those scenes right. That's why these comedy scenes were so difficult. Ken fight. One of the funniest moments in the movie is the scene with the big brawl involving all the Kens. And believe it or not, that was one of the most complicated scenes to coordinate during the entire film shoot. There were dozens of people performing prearranged movements. Of course, the most important ones were the two main Kens, Ryan and Simu Liu, but the others involved in the scene needed instruction on what to do during filming. For this reason, the scene required several takes to be completed. And, unfortunately, sometimes they had to start from scratch, meaning they had to organize the whole mess and start over. Quite challenging indeed. Lonely Alan. There's a character in the movie that not many people paid much attention to, and the truth is, the doll himself isn't all that relevant. We're talking about Ken's best friend, the unusual Alan. The character only appears briefly in the film, but plays his part well in seeming like someone who doesn't belong in the world of Barbie Land whenever he shows up. And that was intentional, of course. A joke that has been made for many years about the poor doll, who is often the most neglected among all the Barbie line. Funny enough, the actor who played Alan, Michael Cera, made a comment about how he himself struggled to understand the world of Barbie. But he's a nice guy and ends up helping the gang. Alan is a nice guy.
And Alan.
Changes. Going back to the more philosophical side of the film, one of the most difficult scenes involves how Barbie begins to understand better what makes her imperfect. This happens after an honest conversation between Barbie and Gloria, portrayed by America Ferrera. Barbie initially thinks that the human thoughts Gloria shares with her are what make her imperfect. Still, the woman explains to the doll that, in reality, changes are inevitable, as Barbie herself had realized when she thought about death during her party. Gloria explains the struggles of being a woman, even in her imperfections, which she understands very well, as she has a daughter too. Dance choreography. This was one of the most challenging scenes, but also one of the easiest, at least for some of the cast members. Ryan, the main Ken, has many dance choreography scenes in the movie, which required much more effort from Simu Liu, who plays his rival Ken. For example, since Ryan has been a dancer since childhood, that's why the scenes with choreography needed to be worked and reworked several times. Besides dance skills, a lot of synchrony was required to make everything go perfectly. And since there were always dozens of people involved, if even one person made a mistake, everything had to be reshot. Filming these scenes required a colossal amount of work. These were the 11 most difficult scenes to film in the Barbie movie. Comment below what you thought of them and which one you found the most challenging. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye!